On March 18, 2024, Putin won the Russian presidential election again, for the 5th time. Yeah, he's planning to run Russia until at least 2036. This time he grabbed a massive 87% of the votes. Not exactly a surprise. Putin's been in power so long, he's almost caught up with Joseph Stalin's record for longest rule in Russia. Just a few more years, and he could beat it, if he stays healthy, because let's be honest, only death can stop this guy. After the win, Putin said this victory means Russia will get stronger and more successful. Basically, he believes only he can lead Russia right now. And guess what? The Russian people don't even know who could replace him. Meanwhile, the world's watching and asking, how does Putin keep such a tight grip on power? Why is he still Russia's unstoppable leader? Back in 1991, the Soviet Union, the big boss of communist countries, collapsed into pieces, and Russia became its own thing. At the helm was Boris Yeltsin, a Communist Party guy who ran the show for 8 years. He stayed in power by buddying up with the oligarchs, basically rich guys who held all the cards. Pretty clever move for a former communist leader. Then on August 9, 1999, a sick Yeltsin dropped a bomb. He fired his prime minister and put in a lesser-known 46-year-old protege named Vladimir Putin. Nobody really knew this guy yet. Putin started out as a KGB spy after law school in 1975. The KGB was Russia's version of the CIA, top secret and deadly serious. By 1976, Putin was a first lieutenant, mainly focused on spying and keeping tabs on foreigners. After some intense training in Moscow, he got sent to East Germany, where he worked undercover as a translator in Dresden for 5 years. Here's the crazy part. Putin was linked to both the KGB and the Stasi, the East German secret police. He even had a Stasi ID card, which gave him access to their facilities, though he wasn't officially spying for them. In 1989, Putin saw something that shook him. The Berlin Wall fell after massive protests. He was at the KGB office when angry crowds stormed the building. No help came from Moscow, so Putin took matters into his own hands, burning tons of documents to cover their tracks. He later said in his book, First Person, "We burned so much that the furnace exploded." When the Soviet Union fell apart in 1991, Putin was powerless and quit the KGB. He jumped into politics in his hometown, Leningrad, now St. Petersburg, working as an advisor to the mayor until 1996. He also got involved with a political party called Our Home, Russia. Putin's real rise started in 1996 when he moved to Moscow and hooked up with the new Russian elite. He landed several Kremlin jobs, climbing the ladder fast. Deputy head of presidential property management, then deputy head of presidential staff. By 1998, Yeltsin appointed him director of the FSB, the KGB's successor agency. Just a year later, Putin was ready to take over Russia. On December 31, 1999, Yeltsin started acting weird, like really unpredictable. Then on New Year's Eve 2000, out of nowhere, he quit as president. According to the Russian constitution, when a president resigns, the prime minister takes over and a new election happens within 3 months. Guess who the prime minister was? Yep, Vladimir Putin, the guy nobody really knew back then. But here's the thing. Putin wasn't some random choice. He already told Yeltsin he was the best pick to take over. Then just as the Chechen War kicked off, Putin grabbed the spotlight. He pointed fingers at the Chechen rebels for bombing Russian buildings and went on TV playing the patriot card hard. People saw him as a strong, heroic leader, and his popularity shot through the roof. At that time, Putin was still seen as a liberal Democrat, promising to keep market reforms going. Plus, he had the backing of Yeltsin's circle of rich businessmen, the oligarchs, like Boris Berezovsky. With their support, Putin smoothly became acting president, and then ran for president officially. Putin played it smart. He connected with every powerful group he could find. Even though he didn't officially join the Unity Party, which was the second most popular party at the time, His tough stance on Chechnya made him unbeatable in popularity. So on March 26, 2000, Putin won the presidential election with 53% of the votes, and on May 7th, he was sworn in as Russia's new president. But what did the oligarchs think about this moldable guy who came from nowhere? Well, things quickly got tense. Just 3 months after taking power, Putin took control of the media. The independent TV station NTV was shut down, other outlets were raided, and news was tightly controlled by the government. This shocked the oligarchs and Kremlin insiders. Putin's style was clear. He needed to build power by controlling resources and influence. In Russia, oligarchs had grown strong since the early 90s. After Yeltsin's privatization, policies gave businessmen a free pass to grab up huge industries, like energy and minerals. These oligarchs got rich and powerful, even influencing government policies. Putin realized this could block his plans, so he started pushing back. He made it clear. Oligarchs could keep their business, but politics was off limits. They couldn't mess with his power. Of course, this was easier said than done. The richer the oligarchs got, the harder it was to keep them away from politics. Some of them didn't listen. Boris Berezovsky and Vladimir Gusinsky, two powerful oligarchs, started criticizing Putin's tough policies on Chechnya through their media. Putin cracked down hard. Gusinsky's media was targeted, and he faced tax evasion charges. Then there was Mikhail Khodorkovsky, once Russia's richest man, who loudly accused Putin of corruption. Putin didn't take it lightly. When he got the chance, he arrested Khodorkovsky and sentenced him to 10 years for fraud and tax evasion. Khodorkovsky had controlled 78% of Yukos, one of Russia's biggest oil companies. With these showdowns, many vocal oligarchs decided it was safer to leave Russia than to stay and fight Putin. Just months after Putin took over, disaster struck. The Kursk submarine blew up during a naval exercise in the Barents Sea. A warhead or torpedo exploded, killing nearly all 118 crew members. Only 23 survived, at first. But Russia's government ignored foreign rescue help for 5 damn days. Because of their slow-ass response, those 23 survivors ended up dead, too. Boris Kuznetsov, a lawyer for the families of the lost sailors, said straight up. The lies started with the Kursk sinking. The government began twisting the legal system, rounding up the missing, and controlling the media. That's when Russia's democracy started dying. Putin's German biographer Boris Reitschuster adds, if Putin hadn't been stationed in East Germany, Russia, and Putin himself, would have been totally different. Surviving these early disasters wasn't a problem for Putin. The next big crisis, the 2002 Moscow theater hostage disaster. Armed Chechen terrorists took over the Dubrovka theater with 170 hostages. Putin responded with brutal force, pumping poisonous gas into the theater on day 3, killing all 41 terrorists but also at least 129 hostages. The rescue was a nightmare, but the public saw Putin as a tough leader who took risks. Even then, U.S. President George W. Bush backed Putin, blaming the terrorists for the hostages' deaths. Then came the 2004 Beslan school massacre. Armed extremists took over school number 1 in North Ossetia, holding over 1,000 people hostage, including hundreds of children, for 3 horrifying days. Russian forces stormed the building, killing over 300 people. Putin and the government faced major backlash for refusing to negotiate and causing an explosion that killed many, including 186 kids. The European Court of Human Rights slammed Russia for mishandling the crisis. Only one attacker, Nurpashi Kolayev, was captured alive and sentenced to life. Putin's own economic advisor, Andrei Illarionov, couldn't take it anymore. He quit and said Russia wasn't free anymore, quoting Freedom House reports about the country's drastic change. But for most Russians, Putin was a nationalist hero, putting the country first. The 2004 election was basically a formality. Putin was re-elected with 71% of the vote, solidifying his grip on power. Putin keeps tightening his grip on Russia, controlling the media and cozying up to the oligarchs like a boss. Studies show there are at least 3 big groups of oligarchs close to him. First, Putin's inner circle, mostly guys from St. Petersburg, where he started his political game. There's Gennady Timchenko, who runs the energy trading giant Gunvor. The Rotenberg brothers, Arkady and Boris, got free rein over electricity projects and pipelines. And don't forget Yuri Kovalchuk, Putin's personal banker, the dude handling his cash. Second, the Siloviki, intelligence, police, and military elites. Under Yeltsin, these guys got jack, but Putin handed them power and money on a silver platter. The biggest shot here is Igor Sechin, CEO of Rosneft, Russia's oil powerhouse. Third, a looser group of old KGB and military types who made bank back in the 90s. Putin doesn't officially cut them off. Some like Vladimir Potanin and Oleg Deripaska still run their own show without getting in Putin's way. But here's the dirty secret. Putin's also got Mafia ties. It's a classic deal. Mafia gets to run illegal businesses, gambling, money laundering, you name it. And in return, Putin uses them to do his dirty work. In 2018, 18 Russians were caught laundering millions through Spanish real estate. One guy on that list? Vladislav Reznik, a hardcore Putin loyalist with rumored Mafia connections. Through Reznik, Putin's Mafia network runs deep. Putin's empire isn't just politics. It's power, money, and crime all tangled up.